What's poppin' YouTube and welcome to my channel, Astro Finesse. It's your boy Lil Finesse Jiggy Hippie back with another video for y'all. And this video right here we're going to be talking about if you have Pluto in the 6th house. And now pause for the cause. If you don't know how to find your Pluto placement, if you're a new subscriber, if you're just starting off your journey of self-love, self-knowledge, self-understanding, if you don't realize why it's so important that you have to look at yourself through astrology, study yourself through astrology, and overall love yourself through astrology and numerology, don't worry, I got you. There's a couple of videos, I'll put the link in the description. You have to watch them first to become hip to the knowledge of what I'm about to talk about right now. So if you look at your birth chart or your natal chart, it's the same thing. And you realize you have Pluto in the 6th house, this video is for you. So without further ado, let's get it poppin', shall we? Now you already know before I start, I'm gonna give y'all a list of some celebrities so y'all can visually see what Pluto in the 6th house people look like and act like in reality. So to start, we got Michael Jackson, Miley Cyrus, Shakira, Amy Winehouse, Snoop Dogg, Jeff Bezos, Tinashe, Nina Simone, Shaquille O'Neal, and Chris Rock. Alright, so boom, Pluto in the 6th house. First of all, what does Pluto mean? What does Pluto represent in our birth chart? So Pluto is a planet that represents, it's ruled by Scorpio. It's the farthest planet away from the sun, so it's the darkest planet. And in your chart, whatever house it's in, whatever sign it's in, shows you where you go through in this life, transformative process by being put through chaos, being put through turmoil, being put through a circumstance where you're shooken up to transform yourself in order to regain power in that area in life. Pluto represents power and control, so most likely that power or control was taken away from you during your childhood, during your younger years, and you have to go through a process which is dark and underneath the surface, so it's not pretty. It's going to be chaotic. Going through this process to try and find yourself, transform yourself, and once you do, you will gain this control and power back in a tremendous way in whatever house it's in. Remember, Pluto rules the 8th house, rules sex, intimacy, taboo, secrets, anything that's scorpionic, anything that's below the surface, anything that's deep, intense, and dark kind of thing is ruled by Pluto. And whatever house it's in shows you where in your life you kind of go through these things, where in your life you have this obsessive nature in whatever house it's in. And now we already know the 6th house is ruled by Virgo. 6th house represents our everyday activity, day-to-day work life, our health, most importantly, the way we look at ourselves when it comes to being an act of service to people. So what does it mean having Pluto, the transformative, malefic planet, in the 6th house of your health, day-to-day activity, and your work ethic, your service life? All right, so I'll start off by saying, like, in the beginning, most likely when you're growing up, you could have felt that you were either overly criticized for what you're doing, overly criticized, overly controlled for your day-to-day thing, day-to-day activities, that you felt that you have a need to want to always control things as you're growing up in your older age, because you could have felt that you were always overly criticized, overly controlled. People always try to tell you what to do, and from that you grow up and you really detest being told what to do. You detest being told how to do things, because in your mind, Pluto in the 6th house, remember, Virgo energy is a perfectionistic energy. Virgo energy is very over analytical, likes to see all the details type energy. So in your mind, you have an already overly critical mind, overly analytical mind. So already you feel like you already know the right answer. Already you feel like you already know how to do it in your own perfectionistic way. But Pluto here brings power struggles wherever it goes. So growing up, your power struggle was with people or with your parents or whoever you grew up with, trying to control your everyday maneuver, trying to control what you're doing, criticizing you to the point, why you're doing it like this, you should do it like this. So you now, growing up, want to have control over your everyday activities, control over your work ethic, control over yourself when it comes to your health and 6th house energy. So with this, the negative side of this placement is when you're around people, especially in the work environment, but I'll start off in general, when you're around people, you always feel like your way is correct, your way is right. So you could be a little controlling or domineering over people in your everyday activities, everyday life. So keep in mind with this placement that Pluto wants to gain and give you power and control, but you have to go through the transformation process. And with this, it's a malefic planet, like I said, meaning that it's extremely powerful. So you could use this power to your benefit, or you can kind of self-destruct yourself if you're not able to use it correctly. So with this, you can have an obsessive nature. Remember, everywhere Pluto goes gives you an obsessive nature. Give you an obsessive nature to become perfect within yourself. You can really be hard on yourself by looking at your flaws like, damn, I don't like these flaws about myself. I want to fix it. I want to do this. I want to do that. You could really be OD critical, OD hard on yourself, and in turn, that externalizes to everybody outside of yourself by being overly critical onto them and into your workplace. Remember, Pluto in the 6th house makes you overly obsessive about being perfect, makes you overly obsessive about your flaws and what you're not good at. So keeping this in mind, that you don't dwell upon the negatives about yourself, because Pluto in the 6th house can make you go through things internally and it will show externally through like skin rashes, through pimples on your face breaking out. Your health can be questioned because you're overly stressing, overly analyzing. Remember, Virgo energy is ruled by the nervous system, so when you're overly anxious, overly analyzing, overly stressing about things like that in a plutonic obsessive way, it could show up into your health, into your skin, into your weight. So keep in mind that you're taking care of your health and you're not really overly critical on yourself, which is extremely difficult if you have this placement, I understand, because Virgo energy just wants to be perfect, perfectionistic energy. But if you're overly dwelling on your negatives, overly dwelling on your flaws, if you're not able to actually accept the things in your life, accept the things about yourself that are not perfect, and accept it and be like, all right, so I'm not perfect, but I'm not going to stress over this. I'm not going to overly dwell upon this area in life. I'm going to be able to move on with myself and actually focus on other things rather than dwelling upon the darkness and upon the things I don't like about myself. Once you're able to do this, you'll be able to actually regenerate yourself, transform yourself, and actually your health will actually become better because you won't be stressing over things that you can't control. Now, also understand that the 6th house represents your work area, work ethicness. So in your work life, in your work environment, y'all do have a strong, obsessive, good, intense work ethic only if you're passionate about what you're doing. Now, I gotta stress this because if you're working in a job and you're not passionate about it, if you have no emotional connection to it, if you don't care about what you're doing, you can have a reputation for being that chaotic, scorpionic energy of quitting jobs just because your manager told you to do something. Like, let's say you just started a job, an entry-level position, and your manager told you to, let's say, throw out the trash or do something that's kind of like below your means in your eyes, below your level in your eyes. You could feel that disrespect. It's like that manager is telling you what to do, that control, that power dynamic is telling you what to do when it comes to your work ethic. And that could trigger that childhood memory, or that could trigger that controlling energy. So you could be able to quit jobs quick, fast, not really care, come to work late, not really caring like that. You could really have an either, if you're not passionate about your job, you could really have a, I don't care about this job attitude. I don't like being told what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I could do it my way. I know what I'm doing. If there's like a protocol or a specific way of doing something in a job, you could have your own way of doing it. Like, I could do it better than this. Like, I know what I'm doing. So you can have like power dynamics and power struggles in your workplace. So keep that in mind. But if you are passionate about what you're doing, if you love what you're doing, and if you have control over what you're doing, because having control in your work life is extremely important. So I always suggest to have your own type of regimen, your own type of work, your own type of schedule, that you have complete control over what you're doing. Because y'all don't really work well into groups dynamics and teamwork and all that, because you always want to be the leader in it. But if you are passionate about what you're doing, the negative side of this is you can be OD workaholic to the max. You can work too hard. You can work too much to the point that you're not even drinking water while you're working. You're not drinking enough water. You're not eating the right food. You're just working so much, being a workaholic, that's like it's deterring your health because you're so obsessed about improving. Improvement when it comes to Virgo energy is everything, because when you're improving, that means you're working towards perfection. So you can be so obsessed with improving so much in your work. You can be so obsessed with your work, so workaholic type energy, so obsessive, that scorpionic Pluto energy in your work ethic, that you can overdo it. You could be over workaholic. People around you, your coworkers, could look at you like, yo, that person's taking this way too serious, or that person is demeaning, that person is intimidating, that person is very scorpionic, like that person is scary. You could be intimidating to your coworkers, Or you can look at your coworkers as they're intimidating to you, or you can look at your coworkers as or you can look at your coworkers as they are intimidating to you, that they bully you, or you can feel not good enough in your work ethic. There's always going to be a power dynamic with this placement. So keep in mind that if you love what you're doing, work for yourself. That's my first suggestion. Work for yourself, but don't overwork yourself. Don't be too OD with it. Don't be too obsessive with it, because it's going to deter your health. Find that work-life balance. Find that balance between your work, your health, your life, and everything else. Find that balance between the two. So also, you can have in your workplace, because Pluto rules sex, you can have that sexual energy exuding out of you in your workplace. So a lot of times when you're working, people will try to get with you a lot. Like your coworkers will really, your coworkers really like getting with you a lot. You can have like a lot of work affairs, meet your mate, meet your boyfriend, girlfriend at work. You really have these type of work relationships, because people will be attracted to you when you're working with you, if they see like your Pluto intense energy coming out in the workplace. But all in all though, keep your health in mind with this placement. Make sure you're not working too much. Make sure you're not being too perfectionistic. Make sure you're not dwelling too much on your flaws. Make sure you're not thinking too much about what you're not good at, to the point that you're making yourself over anxious, over anxiety, being over perfect. Try not to be too controlling over people, especially outside your workplace. Like if you have your own job, if you have your own career, be controlling over your own career, but don't take that controlling energy into your relationships, into your partnerships. When you're going outside yourself and controlling other people, they look at you, they're like, why do you want things to be such a way that has to be perfect, always controlling it? Just let things fly sometimes, let things roll. You don't have to be so overly critical, overly on top of everything too much. Now, I said a lot of negatives about this placement. Now, the positive about this placement is if you can find that balance, if you can go through the transformation of not being too perfectionistic. When you have your own career, when you have your own job, when you have your own routine, your own regimen, y'all the type that could really stick to it, can see the progress, can really have and gain a lot of power through your work energy. Y'all kind of have your identity. Y'all kind of gain your identity through what kind of work you're doing. So you can gain a lot of power, gain a lot of confidence within yourself when you're doing whatever work you love doing passionately. Y'all can gain and generate a lot of power and control over yourself, over your money, over people with the work you're doing. If you can go through the transformation process, if you're not doing it too much, being too critical, if you're not being too perfectionistic, if you have that balance, taking care of your health and doing your work, if you have that balance and go through the transformation, y'all could definitely have a job or a work that you love doing and gain power through that and gain control through that. But just don't take that control, don't take that power into other areas in your life, because like I said, people around you do not want to be perfect like that sometimes. They like things to be, even peeled, like things to be even, like things to be smooth. So don't be that domineering, controlling person trying to make things your own way, doing things like this. I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way all the time, because that will cause a lot of friction and power struggles in that work dynamic, I'm telling you. But overall, all in all, people that are dealing with Pluto in the 6th house people, understand that they have a good analytical mind. They have a good way of seeing things. They have a respectable way of knowing how to put things in the right order. So respect their opinions, respect their suggestions, I'll say, because most likely they thought about whatever they're going to say deeply. They analyzed it. They actually categorized it. They actually have a really strong way of putting things in the right order. So most likely, whatever advice that they're giving, when it comes to life advice, career, money, anything like that, they could really give you really good, deep, good, intense advice on what should be done. So take their advice, but don't be, going back to Pluto in 6th house people, don't be too over dominant, too domineering with your opinion, trying to impose your opinions on people, impose your regimen, your routine on people. Try not to be too OD with it. But keep in mind that once you go through the transformation process, you will gain your power back, gain your control back over yourself and in your everyday activities, in your life, in your work, and in your health. So that was my video on Pluto in the 6th house. I hope y'all enjoyed that. My next video is going to be on Pluto in the 7th house, and you already know I'm about to go in. If you have subscribed to my channel, appreciate all y'all for real, you already know. But if you still haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, another one time for your boy. Don't forget to drink your water, mind your business, and be safe out here. It's your boy, Lil Finesse Jiggy Hippie. I'm going to see all y'all when I see y'all. Peace.